I've prepared a 3-hour session, which we're going to get through somehow in 20 minutes, allegedly. I don't see it happening personally, but there you go. I'd say what I'm not going to do is I'm not going to bore you to tears about myself, but bottom line is I fell into this space, quite frankly, by accident. I went to set up a business about 10 years ago, helping people with their careers, and I realized when I opened my virtual doors, and quite frankly, no one walked through them, I was in trouble. I looked at my piggy bank, it didn't have much money, and I realized that the one thing I needed to do was to embrace social media like a long-lost lover to let people know that I existed. And I suppose one thing that became very evident when it came to using social media and I suppose building an engaging website was how was I going to demonstrate my enthusiasm and my passion and my knowledge that actually was going to get people want to come and do business with me. So I started blogging and I started engaging with people specifically on LinkedIn, Facebook and Twitter. And heck, I've started working with some big companies on the back of it. So that's kind of a synopsis of how I kind of fell into this space by accident, okay? Today we're talking about content marketing. Bit of a waste of time maybe, maybe not. As you can see, some of the statistics up there, HubSpot. Have you heard of HubSpot? Big inbound marketing company. They're claiming that if someone prioritizes blogging, a business that prioritizes blogging, 13 times more likely to enjoy positive return on investment. Flipping hell, that sounds good. So the bottom line is content is an important thing. Any other statistics that pop up there that impress us? 94% more views than those that don't. So I suppose there's no point creating self-serving content that no one wants to read and engage with. We've got to create valuable content. We've got to demonstrate our passion, our knowledge, and our expertise, and actually have people wanting to come and do business with us. Presumably, everyone here is going to get the slides. Is that right, or is that a myth? Is that a myth?
That could be arranged.
It can be arranged. So if anyone wants the slides, bottom line, you can have these slides, okay? So there's no need to get panicked. Yeah. So we've got the official confirmation from down the back. That's happening. Funny enough, if we asked 20 content marketers to describe what content marketing was, we'd probably get 20 different answers. My favorite definition is this one, which I think kind of nails it. So they're saying content marketing is a strategic marketing approach focused on creating and distributing valuable, relevant, and consistent content to attract and retain a clearly defined audience and ultimately drive profitable customer or client action. I think that nails it. So a couple of things when it comes to content marketing. Consistent content. The best Facebook pages that excel today organically have a plan. They post about a subject matter on a Monday and something different on a Tuesday and a Wednesday. And like a newspaper, they publish their updates through social media on a schedule with a plan in place. And that's why they're successful. So much so that there's a great page I like called the Social Media Examiner. And there's a lovely post from a lady called Cindy King every week. If I don't see it, I go and find it because I know it's there. So consistency is important. It amazes me how many blogs on corporate websites have a section, probably called a blog, which is a picture of the company winning a cup back in 1984. And it's kind of out of date, it's not of interest to me, and it's more likely to do me damage than good as a company. So we've got to start thinking about consistency. So with clients I typically work with, if they're going to create content such as a blog for their website, I will typically get them to start, could be a piece of content once every month, and achieve that for the next 6 months, rather than try to create a piece of content every week, and then finding in 3 weeks' time, that's not sustainable, I can't do that, I give up. So consistency will be the absolute key. Distributing valuable and relevant content. So very often we sit as marketeers when it comes to our content. It doesn't matter whether it's a blog post or content for our social media updates. We sit there in our office with our big fancy desktop and we write content that we want to push out into the marketplace. We write content based around our goals and objectives as a business, and we actually forget to sit from the client or the customer side. And we forget to figure out what content the customer and the client is interested in that ties in with our brand message. So you see companies now, banks, very untrendy characters such as banks, right? You're starting to see them starting to get it somewhat. And there's a bank at the moment that literally gets every teller in every branch in Ireland to fill out as part of their KPIs, key performance indicators, every week, what the most 3 common questions they were asked this week were. Right? So what were the 3 most common questions that were asked in your bank branch this week? And do you know what they do with it? They create content that solves or answers those questions. Common sense. So thinking of valuable, relevant content. Obviously, you do see some blogs that do a brilliant job in educating the world, and then you wonder why the business went bust 2 years later or even a year later. And very often it's because they never put any hook in. They never tried to actually generate any business off the back of that. So sometimes, it's important that when we're writing great content, that we're offering value, that we're being relevant, but we're being very clear to the reader or the consumer of our content who we are, what we do, and how they can contact us. That's often missed. So, simple slide. God, we've got no more time left, so that's the end of this. Hopefully not, because I'm already seeing glares starting to come through. Examples of content. I mean, often we think of content marketing, we just think of blogging, and we think of boring articles. So we've all heard of infographics before. So infographics, short videos, the hot ticket at the moment. I'm not talking about self-serving, boring videos, but interesting videos. Definitely the hot ticket at the moment. So could be an educational video. Podcasting. Does anyone subscribe to a podcast? There you go. There's 3.5 people in the room. 4 people in the room now that have subscribed to podcasts. So again, another form of creating great content. I like a tool called audioboom.com, which allows companies to create free, embeddable audio content that they can even, the user can even add to their iTunes account. Podcasting. Case studies. People love case studies. People are far more likely to want to do business with you if they hear other people that have done business with you that think you're great. Case studies works really well. E-books. Typically, I'm a lazy bugger sometimes, quite frankly. Don't tell anyone. But after 3 months of content writing, I just create an e-book. So I just take all my blogs, put a lovely cover on, and I create a lovely gated e-book that people have to download and give me their contact details on the back of. E-books. Link roundups. Again, people are lazy. One of my favorite articles is an article on the Social Media Examiner by that lady Cindy King, and what she does once a week is she does a roundup of everything that happened in the social media world that week. So she links to all these other fabulous articles, does a lovely recap. And that's brilliant. It's the one place I need to go to find out what's happening. So think of your industry, think of your business. What kind of industry roundups could you guys do that would become particularly valuable to your target audience? Visual content. Obviously, people love visual content. It's amazing how many corporate, boring blogs, too text-heavy, no bullet points, no visuals. I can't read that. I can't even begin to read that. So breaking up your content with nice visual content. And even if you're putting small updates on your Twitter or Facebook, it's possibly adding the text to an image rather than just writing a bunch of text that people aren't interested in. Visual content, guides and how-to posts. We can do it for video as well. But quite simply, let's educate people, offer them something valuable. So I know the likes of UPC, again, they're starting to create a lot of content around every problem that you could have with a UPC box. How to do this, how to do that. People like that stuff. Product reviews. If you have a new product come up, give someone a sneak peek of that product and possibly preview that product for them. And interviews. People love interviews. The great tactic of interviews for content is it can align yourself with some experts. So it can make you look good as a company. So lots of examples of content that we can look at. When it comes to future trends taking place, good grief. When it comes to future trends taking place, there's the one hot ticket at the moment is video. We heard of Periscope, Meerkat app, live streaming apps have become a hot ticket this year. Last year we were probably talking about Twitter video, Instagram video, short, simple, self-user generated video. You remember the Ice Bucket Challenge? When not only people realized that their phones took photographs, but actually did video as well, and were able to actually hold them while they threw a bucket of ice over their head. So much so that a third of the Irish population did that in a 2-week period. So video is a big deal. It needs to be part of our content plan. The idea of rich content becoming vital. Google's liking unique content. That's what it's looking for. Facebook, LinkedIn, looking for unique content at the moment. At the moment, ranking highest in Google, you're looking at pieces of content somewhere between 1,000 to 3,000 words in length. It's a hell of a lot meatier bit of content than we used to have to create to rank on Google. So rich content. Social advertising is becoming more powerful. So literally we can serve up the right ad to the right person at the right time. Simple as that. So again, we need to create the right content for our ads, not to be sloppy here. Private networks are starting to thrive. So we've seen people migrate to Snapchat, to WhatsApp, to Instagram, and literally have conversations far more behind closed doors. So what companies are realizing now when it comes to content is they need to start to network with influencers, brand advocates, employee advocates, and actually try and get them to have conversations and share their content behind those closed doors. It's becoming a big strategy. Company like IBM educating their staff at the moment on how they can share IBM's news online. So these are the trends that are starting to happen. The idea of influencers, it's listening online when it comes to content and trying to get the influencers in your market space to share your content or even collaborate with you to create your content. So there's probably a lady in Roscommon that's got 76 cats that everyone thinks is mental. But when she jumps on Twitter, everyone listens to every goddamn word she says because she's influential. So if we can collaborate and create content with her, we can create some amazing things. Okay, good news. My thing is going to die a death as I'm going to give you some examples before evil stares start to come in and bite me. Even though Sean here, he was prepared to give up his, you were prepared to give up your, he doesn't really want to talk about Twitter. So we have another 21 minutes left, guys, okay? But some simple things when it comes to, say, creating blog content. A great title, absolutely vital, just like in the newspaper days. 80% of people will read the title, less than 20% will read your text. So we have to have a great title that draws the reader in. We also need a great title that has the keywords or the phrases to tell the reader, and possibly more importantly, the search engine, what our content is about. So a little tool that you can use to craft a good headline is there, CoSchedule. Images, we talked about images being really important, didn't we? 3 tools I'm using all the time to create brilliant images for my social media updates and for my blog posts are Canva, PicMonkey, and Pablo by Buffer. They're free, largely free. Canva will charge you $1 per stock image you use if you want to use stock photography. But to create amazing images. It's an absolute shame when you craft that perfect piece of content on Facebook and it gets shared 100,000 times by people. And then you realize, well, crap, I forgot to put my logo in it. And actually you realize that, a 99,000 out of those 100,000 people would have no clue of where the content originated from. So simple things like using tools to actually put, could be a hashtag, could be a website, could be a logo into your images. So when content does fly through the world of social media, so does your message. Content ideas. I always find people saying, I can't think of what to write. Great tool I use to find great articles for content ideas is feedly.com. Let's have a look at a couple of others. There's another tool I'm using called buzzsumo.com, which actually tells me what content around my subject matter is being shared the most online. So wrapping up some content ideas I put in the notes, which we will get. Top 10 posts, people love that. Link roundup posts, reviews, interviews, case studies, how-to posts, new news topics, hot news topics, should I say, and a roundup of your own posts. Google's keyword tool I use all the time to find what phrases people are actually searching for that actually I should use in my content and in my title. Formatting our posts. Sounds simple, but we don't do it. We don't read content like we read a book. We typically look at the title and then we scan an article, usually in less than 30 seconds. And then what we usually do is we go back and we read the part of the article that interests us. So we want share buttons at the top of our article, at the bottom of our article, and we want subsections where it's easy for people to delve into bits of our content and consume in an easier fashion. Got some writing tips there. Specifically, the first part of our content has to tell the reader what's in it for them. That's our hook. Rounding up quickly, we're sick of hearing about Cindy King, aren't we? Sick of her. Here's some example of some posts. So our roundup post I love every single week. It keeps me connected with what's happening in the social media world. Aligning ourselves with the experts. So again, we talked about interviews earlier on, interviewing other people and making us looking good. This guy here, he wrote 26 content marketing experts to follow in 2015. He tagged them all, he referenced them all. They're all his heroes, all people he wants to talk to. What do? They come back and say, thank you so much for including me in your article. So a great way to get noticed. Mercedes-Benz, we heard of Periscope. So Periscope live streaming from our mobile phone. It's an application working only on iPhone at the moment, isn't that right? That literally sends out push notifications on Twitter and owned by Twitter. So what Mercedes-Benz have done is they've given virtual test drives on Periscope. So people can actually experience a test drive in a live environment. There's also a guy that's the head of a park in the US who gives virtual tours of his park through his mobile phone every single day. And what that does is that's driving visitors to his park on the weekend. And we talked about AIB, well we didn't, we said a bank, I think we said, finding out what customers are asking at ground level and then creating content and answers to those questions online. This concept, I've seen Aer Lingus do it as well this year, where we get ambassadors. So we look at bloggers and influencers. We give them a product or service of ours for free in exchange for creating content around our product and service. You can see the electric cars for ESB, they did it where bloggers and influencers were given the electric car to drive and they created content over the 12-month period talking about it. My Starbucks idea, gone are the days when we fill out with the broken pencil the suggestions box in the restaurant. Starbucks created a good hashtag, a good Twitter handle, and even a website to actually crowdsource, if you like, great ideas that they can implement in their business. And that creates super content. We talked about the Ice Bucket Challenge. A third of the Irish population throwing a bucket of water over their head in a 2-week period. Pretty amazing. And I love this tool. I want to make sure you guys know this tool, particularly if you're a business-to-business orientated company. A company that LinkedIn acquired is called slideshare.net. It's a social network in itself. It's a super place to create, share, and distribute content. What it also allows us to do is it allows us to capture sales leads. So again, if I've created a really, really good presentation, what I can do is I can use slideshare.net to embed it on the web, share it on the web, capture sales leads from it on the web, and even embed it on multiple LinkedIn profiles. So the profiles of all my staff members, for example. Being real in our videos. This lad here, he created a video and he put call of action in it. He said, guys, someone likes my video, and I'm so excited someone liked my video. I just want to thank you so much for liking my video. I don't know whether it's too much to ask you guys, but I just want to see whether I could get 2 people to subscribe to my channel. But the bottom line is, he got a little bit of help from a site called Reddit, but bottom line is he was sincere, he was enthusiastic, he was passionate, and he asked for something. Well, he got 100,000 people subscribing to his YouTube channel. And it amazes me how many brands don't ask for something. There's no call to action in their video. Topshop created great content last year during London Fashion Week because they got everyone literally at ground level that had mobile phones to take photographs on Instagram using a hashtag which they uploaded into stitched content on Facebook, from video content to visual content, and actually it was the most interesting way to look at a fashion event I've ever seen. The virtual Instagram coupon. Has anyone ever been to a place called Cleary's before? It's very exciting, isn't it? Cleary's. Well, the Swedish equivalent of Cleary's, right? They wanted a younger audience. So what did they do? They created a series of sped-up videos with the cool, high-fashion products flying through the screen with the task or the challenge to the younger audience: screen grab the image that you want and get it at half price. So what they did, you had to screen grab it, send it out on Instagram using a hashtag, and you brought that update on your Instagram account to the store as your coupon. So the idea of creating kind of a gamification element to your content, pretty cool. And guys, on that note, the questions, there's a panel discussion later on today, and I'm also around after the event for a few minutes if anyone has any specific questions. But I am aware that I'm actually going to get physically murdered if I speak any longer, so I better stop now, guys. So guys, been a pleasure. And I think next up we have a fantastic guy from Twitter, Sean here, who's been telling me some cool stuff. I don't know whether you want to intro him, but this is...
I think you've done a fine job by yourself.